Yeah, welcome again to another session of Adesola's Crafts. Today we're going to learn the double crochet American terminology, which is the same thing as treble in the British terminology. So let's assume you've made your foundational chains, just like I've made these chains. The first thing to know is that when working in rows, with double crochet American terminology or treble in British terminology, you would skip the first two chains. Some people will skip three. But the most important thing to note is that those chains you're skipping represent a stitch. So you're going to be stitching on them each time you get back to the end of the row. So in this case, I skip the first two chains. As I always say, each chain looks like a V, and each V has one leg further away and a leg closer to me. It depends on your pattern. You could go with the leg further away or the one that is close to you. Now, in this instance, I'm going to skip the first two chains and I'm going to go to the third chain. Now, before I do that with double crochet, you must yarn over. So yarn over, go to the third chain, go into the third chain, the leg of the V, yarn over, bring in the loop. Now I have 3 loops on my crochet hook. I'll yarn over, release the first 2 loops. I'll yarn over and release the last 2 loops. Now I have only 1 loop on my crochet hook. Again, I yarn over to go into the leg of the chain. I'm using the farther one away, which is the back leg. I yarn over at this time to bring in that loop. I yarn over, release the first 2 loops. I yarn over, release the last 2 loops, and then I'm left with 1 loop. Leaving the 1 loop on the crochet, it's a way to let us know that we've completed that stitch. If you still have 2 loops on the crochet hook, it means you've not completed the stitch. So now I have 1 loop left and I'm going into the next chain. I yarn over. Yarn over means bringing the yarn or the wool from the back to the front. So I yarn over and I go into the next chain. I yarn over again. I bring in the loop. I yarn over, I release the first 2 loops, I yarn over and I release the last 2 loops. Again, I yarn over, that is, bring the yarn from the back to the front. I go into the chain. I yarn over, this time to bring in a loop. I yarn over to release the first 2 loops. I yarn over to release the last 2 loops. I'm going the last time again. I yarn over, that is, I bring the yarn, the wool, from the back to the front of the hook. And I go into the leg of the chain, one of the V's. I yarn over to bring in the loop. Now I have 3 loops on my crochet hook. I yarn over to release the first 2 loops. I yarn over to release the last 2 loops. And with this we come to the end of the lesson for double crochet American terminology. and double and treble in the British terminology. See you next time.